quick thing here I wanted to mention, too, I didn't have time for. I saw this article was kind of interesting. Universal, which we've been talking about a lot because of that fire on the lot and all the controversy about masters and whose are and aren't still intact and all of that stuff. Universal is doing something pretty cool. They are going into their music video archives and they are remastering and reformatting, I believe, all of, well, not all, but a lot of their classic music videos. They're starting out with something like 100, and then they're going to move it to 1,000. And then within a few years, I saw a stat where they're going to even try to do way more than that. And that's a really cool thing because here's the deal. Here's what you guys may not realize. Like the music videos back in the day that you'd watch in the 80s or in the 90s, growing up watching MTV, those videos are the property in almost every instance and owned by the record label. We've talked a lot about masters and the master recordings being owned by the respective record label. Well, so were the music videos because they were paid for by the record label. So they are, just like the albums, the property of the label that produced them at the time. And, of course, back in the day with the emergence of music videos, some were very elaborately produced. Some were just concert clips. And the TV format was different back then as well. More squared off in terms of the aspect ratio. 4:3 is what they would call it, the old square TVs. Now everything is viewed usually in an aspect ratio 16:9, which is a letterbox, what almost every TV is now, flat screen TVs. So if you've ever seen old music videos, the sides are cropped because it wasn't shot like that. And you can't do much about it because most of those videos were shot on video, not on film. But you can if you run them in a computer and you reformat it and you brighten up the color. So just like you can remaster music, you can also get in and with technology today, punch up these old video clips. In a lot of cases, maybe format them differently so they fit screens. They bump them up to HD in some way. They do some color correction. They can even get into the audio, work on that, make that sound better. And Universal, which is the biggest conglomerate in the world in music, is spending money and time into doing exactly that into their archives. So they've already done videos by Megadeth and Kiss and others that are under their umbrella. The two they mentioned they've done already for Kiss was Rock and Roll All Night, which the video for that was done in like 75. It's the studio version of the song. And the other one was I Was Made for Loving You, which was done in 79, which you've probably seen that. Both are essentially performance videos with some little extra stuff cut in. But they really went back. Like they went pre-MTV to music videos that were done in the 70s and are putting some care and attention into restoring those. And I think that's really, really cool. Now, where are you going to see them? What's the point? Well, the big point of the article was they are working directly with YouTube on this project. So a lot of them, like currently, live on YouTube. But what they were saying is that as they go through and remaster and reboot these old videos, they will be replaced on YouTube or whatever streaming service. And just one day, if you've watched a video 10 times, you may click on it and all of a sudden it's the same video, but all of a sudden it looks 1,000 times better. Because as they come into YouTube, YouTube is just going to change them out. So the same amount of views, the same stats, everything still stays the same. The image just becomes way better, way clearer. And the other thing with old music videos where they're prominently used and seen is in bars. You know, I've told you guys I go to this to the Hard Rock in Tulsa so much. It's been closed the last time I was there, but they've got this great bar called the Center Bar, which most Hard Rocks have. And one of my favorite bars because there's music video screens all over the bar showing mostly old rock music videos. And you can tell when one comes up that's been restored because it looks and sounds great. And then when the other ones, they're cropped off on the side, they're dark, whatever. So this is another revenue source for these record companies because they're sitting there saying to themselves, okay, how do we maximize catalog? We can only do so many greatest hits records. We can only do so many reissues, remasters. Oh, hold on a second. We're sitting on this library of old videos that if we put a fresh coat of paint on them, we can maybe make some money with them. They'll get money from licensing them to YouTube, and they'll get money from licensing them to bars. And because when you go and you see these things play in public places, most of the time they're on these services that business had to pay for. So I think the Megadeth one, they may have done Sweating Bullets. I think they may have done they listed 2 or 3 that they did. I forget. Sweating Bullets was sort of a groundbreaking video. But Universal, they have November Rain by Guns N' Roses. I mean, they've got huge videos, big production videos too. So I just thought I'd put that out there because as rock music fans, you might start seeing some of these come out and you get a whole new perspective on them if they look really polished up because that's a project currently in the works. So after a week of pounding on Universal about all the burning up tapes and not being transparent, little props for Universal restoring some of the classic music videos that we love from the 70s and the 80s.
Part of their mea culpa.
Yeah, maybe. But this happened early. And it's interesting because it's in conjunction with YouTube. YouTube is the driver for this project above and beyond anything. So they're certainly going to find a way to monetize that through YouTube, I'm sure. Let's get a quick few headlines from Ed in rock news before we talk to Jay. What do you got today, Ed?
Actually, I'm surprised you did not talk about how you broke the internet earlier today by tweeting about Chick-fil-A.
Oh, did I?
Oh, yeah, your tweet is certainly making the rounds.
The Chick-fil-A thing is mind-boggling to me. I've only had it once, like 10 years ago. We never had any by me in New Jersey. One opened across the street on the highway. It opened a week ago. It is pandemonium.
Really?
Pandemonium. People lined up out the door. The drive-through is 2 lanes that it's got to be an hour and change, easy to even get to the order board. This is a week into it being open. I went by and I'm like, how good could a chicken sandwich be that people will wait in a drive-through line for like an hour and a half? And when in that tweet, and Adam, the guitar player from the Struts, he's one of the guys that replied to the tweet and he goes, pretty damn good, Eddie, pretty damn good.
Mediocre.
So I don't know. When things calm down, I have to try it myself firsthand, but I'm not even going near it. They got cops directing traffic. It's ridiculous.
Mediocre Jesus chicken. I really don't care for it. Anyway,
somebody does because they're lined up, Ed, for miles. It's crazy.
Weird Christian zealot-owned chicken chain. A trifecta of film-related stories I have here for you, Eddie, on the music biopic front from Deadline, and a story you sent me as well. In the works, the long-gestating movie about Neil Bogart and his label Casablanca Records, which pretty much came to define music at one point in the late 70s, and yes, it was the home of Kiss. Production will begin in July on the film, and it will be directed by Timothy Bogart, the late Neil's son. A laundry list of acting talent associated with this flick, too many to mention right now. I will say that Samuel L. Jackson has been tapped to play George Clinton, famed funk legend.
And there are people in it that will play Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, which has also been, those people have been announced as well. Looking forward to seeing that. Biopic Mania continues, and that'll be coming soon.
Speaking of film, so with Ozzy not touring until next year, or so we're told, he's got time to kill, so what better to do than lend your voice to the sequel to the 2016 animated hit Trolls? I'm not kidding about this. May God have mercy on all of our souls. Ozzy joins the cast of Trolls World Tour, set for release next year. Ozzy plays King Thrash, a new character and defender of all things rock, apparently.
Okay, what else?
Yeah. As a father to a 7-year-old, I remember when the first Trolls movie was big. It's giving me Vietnam-style flashbacks right now. Anyway, and finally, I have saved the best for last right here, right now. The trailer for the upcoming one-night-only Rush event, Cinema Strangiato, has been released. I did link to it via the Twitter feed for Volume. Tickets for the August 21st event taking place at movie theaters worldwide are currently on sale. The trailer basically confirms all relevant information that we already know. It includes expanded footage from the R40 tour, backstage footage, interviews with artists outside of the band like Billy Corgan, and a look into how Geddy Lee put together his big, beautiful book of bass. What has my curiosity piqued, Eddie, is that this is being billed as the band's first annual exercise in fan indulgence, a clever nod to the song La Villa Strangiato, but it seems to me like this could be the first in an annual series of similar events, so we'll find out.
By the way, I just opened my email, and people email me all the time, and you always can, Eddie@EddieTrunk.com. I try to read them when I can. You know my big, huge peeve about bands singing to tracks or playing to tracks. There are some listeners, now I got to go back and look at it, but there are some listeners that are alleging, or who went to the Hollywood Vampires performance the other day and are alleging that Johnny Depp's lead vocal was not real.
Ooh.
And I got to tell you, when I first saw him come up on that mic, because I was shocked he was doing the lead vocal, and I saw him a little off mic, and it sounded a little too perfect. I got to admit, I thought I saw him out of step for a second. I thought it was just my TV. I have to go back and watch it. That would be amazingly, sadly disappointing if that is the case. It is an epidemic, folks. I'm not making it up.